Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. It's going to be a shorter video today since after I read aloud, what you guys are doing today is pretty similar to what you guys did yesterday, so I won't re-explain the whole thing again since that video yesterday was pretty long. But today we'll just read, and then I'll tell you what we're going to do today and then kind of what we're going to do tomorrow. Okay? First of all, I'm super excited. It's so nice out. It's like sunny. It's supposed to be 60 degrees. Think I might do some yard work today, go for a walk. I'm pretty excited that the sun is actually out, so maybe we'll get to do some fun stuff outside today, so I'm excited for that. All right, Chapter 5. Carmen wiped away tears as she and Tony and Mrs. Grasso hurried through the streets. Mrs. Grasso had explained what happened, that Papa had become very ill around lunchtime. Mr. Vita took Papa home in a wagon. "He's in bed now," Mrs. Grasso continued as they passed the bakery. "The doctor already came. He said your father has some new kind of flu." The word flu made Carmen feel calmer. The flu really wasn't a killer, like typhoid or polio or rabies. Carmen had the flu just last year. She'd felt rotten and was in bed for days, but within a week she was back to herself. "Papa will be fine. Papa will be fine," Carmen repeated to herself as her boots clicked against the stone streets. And looking around her, everything was the same as always. There was little kids playing hide-and-seek between pushcarts piled high with fruits and vegetables. There was Mrs. Ortelli through the window of the bakery chatting with her customers. There was the gray cat sunning himself outside the tailor's shop, and the hams and sausages hanging in the butcher's window. There was a rat poking through a pile of trash. And of course, there was Tony, right next to her. But then, when they stopped at the corner to wait to cross the street, Carmen caught sight of something else. The newsboy, the one she and Tony had passed earlier. Carmen had barely listened to the headlines she'd been shouting out, but now Carmen slowed down and stared as the boy waved the afternoon paper at the people rushing past him. Suddenly, his words seemed meant just for Carmen. "Deadly flu hits Boston." Carmen practically flew up the narrow staircase that led to their apartment. She rushed past Mr. Vita into the small bedroom she and Papa shared. Another neighbor, Mrs. Pirelli, was kneeling next to Papa's bed. But that man in that bed, that couldn't be Papa. He looked like a shivering ghost, deathly pale, lips tinged blue. His teeth chattered even though the bed was piled with blankets. "Papa?" Carmen rasped, dropping down to her knees. Papa's eyes fluttered open. The ghostly mask fell away for a few seconds. "Mia ragazza," he rasped. "My girl." Carmen sat down, blinking away tears, forcing a smile. She would cheer him up, just like she cheered up Tony. "Papa?" she said, her voice shaking. I got another 100 on my math test." But Papa's eyes were already closed again. Carmen grabbed his hand. It was so hot, as if his blood was boiling and his bones were on fire. She pulled a rickety chair over to the bed and sat down. "I'm here, Papa," she said. "I'm here." Hours passed and the sun went down. Papa tossed and turned, muttering in his sleep. And then came the cough, a hacking, wheezing cough like nothing Carmen had ever heard. It sounded like little bombs were exploding in Papa's lungs. Mrs. Pirelli and Mrs. Grasso sponged Papa's face and arms to cool him. They spooned medicine into his mouth. But Papa's skin got hotter. The cough got worse and worse. Carmen sat in her chair, gripping Papa's hand. Her mind kept drifting back to the flood after the earthquake, when Carmen clung to Papa's back as they were caught in the churning sea. Nona had told him the story many times. "I was up early that day," she always began, "because the naughty ghost escaped again. I just reached the top of the hill when everything started to shake." The earthquake lasted 40 seconds, but it felt like years, she said. When it was over, she raced down the hill to the house. The roof had collapsed, but Mama, Papa, and Carmen made it out and were safe. "We thought the worst was over, but we were wrong." The earthquake had caused the sea to rise up. Now tidal waves 20 feet tall slammed into the village. "Your Papa grabbed you and tried to run," Nona continued, "but nobody could outrun the sea." Nona always got a twinkle in her eye at this point. "The water was strong, but your Papa was stronger." He grabbed a shutter from a ruined house. He climbed up on it and told Carmen to hold onto his back. The water rose and rose. They got separated from Nona and Mama. They floated on that shutter for hours. And this was the part that had etched itself into Carmen's mind, especially the words Papa had called out to her over and over. "Hold on," he'd said. Now Carmen leaned into Papa, an inch away from his sweat-covered brow. "Hold on, Papa," she whispered. "Please hold on." She gripped his hand. He held it tighter than she'd held onto Papa's back in the flood. tighter than anything she'd ever held in her life. She held on even after Papa stopped breathing, even after the doctor put the sheet over Papa's face, even after Papa's hand grew cold, and Carmen understood that some things get taken away no matter how hard you try to hold on to them. It wasn't until much later, when the sun came up, that Carmen finally let go. That's where we're going to stop. Kind of on a bad note today. So today, make sure that you're doing Exact Path for 10 to 15 minutes. Again, thank you those of you guys who are doing that every day. I have been checking people doing the challenge, and there's some people that are already close to their 60 minutes. So that's awesome. Then make sure you're reading for 20 minutes, 25 minutes. If that's your independent reading book or something online, that's fine. And then today, you're going to finish up your notes for your research project. So yesterday, you started taking notes. Today, I want you to go make sure that you have enough, so kind of like we've done for all of our informational projects, I want you to make sure you have enough for each topic that you can write a whole paragraph, okay? So make sure that you have enough information where you can write 4 to 5 sentences about that topic. So for example, if I was doing a person, make sure you have enough background information that you can write a paragraph. Make sure that you have enough about their greatest achievement or their other achievements. Make sure you can do a paragraph for each of those topics, okay? And the other thing I want you to add today is I want you to write down, so it can be on the back of your paper where you wrote fun facts. I want you to add the websites where you got your information from. So don't just put Google and Google Images. When you Google something and click on a link that takes you to another website, you got to put that website down, okay? Because that's where the information came from. So make sure that you add what websites you got, so we can, when we add our sources slide, we can add that information in there. And if I wanted to look it up, I could just go ahead and do that using the websites that you gave. Okay. Last thing, let's see. Mrs. Gutsu, if your parents are friends with or follow Lakeview Middle School on Facebook, Mrs. Gutsu asked for all of the teachers' 5th grade pictures when we were in 5th grade, so there's a bunch of pictures on there, so have your parents go look at that. It's kind of funny. Mine is a pretty obvious one because there's not a whole lot of boys, but if you don't have a Facebook, this is the one this is me in 5th grade. I know you guys saw my overalls when I was like in 2nd grade. This is me playing hockey in 5th grade. I feel like I still look the same. Okay, that's me on a pogo stick in 5th grade. Looks super sunny out. It's because I lived in California. It was so nice out. Okay, so go to that. It's kind of funny to see some of the teachers. You saw me. See if you can find Mrs. Reynolds, Mrs. Jamerson, and Mr. Yoder. Mr. Yoder's got a pretty funny picture, so ask your parent if you can look at all those pictures. They're pretty funny. Okay, I will see you all tomorrow. Have a great Thursday, and go outside and enjoy the warm weather. See you guys.